me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Let's go. I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top, gotta feel the vengeance. In my thoughts,
Alrighty, welcome back everybody. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, comment down below, let me know what you think about this video, and again, as always, hit that bell so you can be notified whenever I make a video. But we are just going to go over something quickly that happened today. Everybody wanted to get some competition for Austin Jackson. I heard a lot of comments in the comment section talking about that Austin Jackson needs to have somebody to compete with him, and you know, we finally did that. We finally got it. And actually, if you watch one of my last videos, he was the first person that I brought up to have one of the options for offensive linemen. So we just signed Isaiah Wynn to a 1-year contract. I'll let you know what the details of that are later on in the next video, but we'll see what that is. So we signed him to a 1-year contract, and what I can say is it's actually kind of funny because, to be honest, Isaiah Wynn is kind of very similar to Austin Jackson, so when he first got drafted, he was drafted in 2018, 2019, played the 2019 season as a rookie. We're going to go over all the seasons and leading up to this last season and him signing up to us right now. So he played 502 snaps his 2019 season, only 3 penalties and only 2 sacks allowed. He actually had a 69, basically a 70 grade on himself for offensive lineman that year. So he actually looked like when he was coming into the league that he was going to be pretty decent. He was going to be a good offensive lineman. He's a former first rounder. So he had some decent numbers coming into the first year that he came into the league, which is pretty interesting because, you know, with Austin Jackson, when he first came in, even though people won't like to admit it, he actually looked pretty decent when he first got into the league. It's just after a while, injuries, and you know, he just wasn't really settling in. So 2019, he was actually pretty decent on the Patriots. And then we go to 2020. And he wasn't bad. He actually did even better that year. So 641 snaps. He had 2 penalties and 3 sacks allowed. He actually had an overall grade of 82. And that's not bad. You know, so honestly, Isaiah Wynn was starting to become something that was pretty decent. And honestly, he looked like he was going to be the first round hype that he had when he was drafted by the Patriots. So, you know, you go into that 2020 season, you're thinking you got your guy, you got your offensive lineman that can be the offensive lineman of the future. He's a pretty decent tackle at this point. And then you go to 2021, and he's actually okay that year, but he starts declining. 915 snaps that he played that year, 9 penalties, which has been his biggest Achilles heel in the last couple of years, is that he keeps getting penalties, and 6 sacks allowed this year. So he had a 74 overall rating. And like I said, this was the first year that he started kind of declining a little bit. It's the penalties, honestly, with Isaiah Wynn that really got him, because the next 2 years he has 10 penalties each time. I think it's 9 for each of the years. So, you know, he's top 10 in penalties for offensive linemen, which that is an issue. You know, it's one of those things that a lot of plays that we had last year, sometimes they would just stop just from stupid penalties that we would have on our offensive line, or, you know, movements or whatever it is, you know, because again, our team runs by so much motions and things like that you really need to have your timing down packed when it comes to, you know, playing offense on our team. So the next year he was okay. He wasn't that bad, but he wasn't, you know, 100% great. And then we go to 2022, and that's when they kind of took him in and out of the lineup. He was injured, and he had 423 snaps that year with, again, 9 penalties. So 200 less snaps played, or a lot less actually, like 500 less snaps played, and the same amount of penalties and 4 sacks. So he declined this last year. It was due to injuries and confidence and, you know, a lot of things. But, you know, here's the thing with Isaiah Wynn. And what I can kind of basically tell you is that football is a finicky sport where, you know, you'll have a player that'll be injured and will have confidence issues. And then when you switch his team or you do something different with him, they become a different player. And sometimes it's a different environment that you need to be in to be able to get to where you want to go. Like Drew Brees, for instance, when he was first coming out and he was on the Chargers, he got injured and then goes to a different place that believes in him and becomes an all-star quarterback. There's plenty of offensive linemen that do the same thing. So with Isaiah Wynn, he's kind of very similar, a better Austin Jackson so far. Austin Jackson still needs to showcase what he can do, and we'll see. But what I like about this signing is, one, you get depth, because if Austin Jackson goes down or Teron Armstead goes down, you have a guy that can play tackle at a pretty decent level. It's not like you're just coming in and out of the lineup and, you have a turnstile that sometimes we have at offensive line. You have a guy that can actually come in and do something. The con is that he does commit penalties a lot, and that has been an issue for him for a pretty decent amount of time now. And the sacks are starting to pile up on him. He kind of lost his confidence after the injuries, and it's really showing that he lost his confidence. He's not really the same player that he was when he was coming into the league and doing really good. But a different environment, a different scenery, a different everything, and sometimes you get a different player where, again, this guy was a first-round pick. He kind of showcased flashes of being a really good player when he was entering the league, and injuries and things happened, and his confidence kind of fell, and it's unfortunate. But what you get with this guy is you get a potential player that can be a very good player for our team this year for very cheap, and then on top of that, you get a depth piece. I think what we're realizing with the Dolphins is that they understood that last year we did not have depth at a lot of positions, and we needed it, especially at the offensive line, at corner. We didn't have depth there that, if people went down, we could succumb to it. And honestly, again, we got a lot of injuries last year too. People forget that we had a ridiculous amount of injuries last year. So to be able to go to the playoffs with all the injuries that we had, basically most of our starting corners were out, and safeties, and offensive linemen. A lot of players were out due to injury. So you're signing a depth piece that can compete with Austin Jackson, and then you'll figure out where you go, whoever wins this battle. But you have two players basically almost the same in age that are going to compete with each other, which is fantastic. They're basically the same age. One's a little older, but by a year. And you figure out who has the potential to be good, and one of the two is going to come out of this swinging, and you pick that guy to keep on your team. And that's what I think they're trying to do. They're trying to see if Austin Jackson becomes the guy, Isaiah Wynn does something, and then on top of that, if they both showcase that they're good, well, then you keep them, and then when Teron Armstead moves on, then you have someone covering that point. And it's just smart. It's smart. It's looking to the future. It's getting two young guys. It looks like we are not trying to sign those older veteran guys because you can't really do much with them. You can't build from the future. 27 for Isaiah Wynn, 25, or I think it's 25 for Austin Jackson. Maybe even 24. I'm not sure. But young guys, and you get them and you have a future with them where you can sign them for multiple years if they do pan out. And then if not, you have a one-year deal and you can just get out of it. So great signing, and I really do like it. Depth piece, or it could be a pretty decent starter. He could turn out to be a pretty good player if the cards come in the right shuffling deck. But as always, hope you have a great rest of your day. Just quick video. Fins up. Peace.